Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this evening, this morning, whenever you're getting a chance to catch today's edition, the fourth upload of a Sunday in which Jack Campbell gets placed on waivers by the Detroit Red Wings. Funny enough, that's exactly what we're talking about in today's edition, talking about set goaltending, though that for the Edmonton Oilers instead of the Red Wings. So stick with me here. The voice is still coming back around. We're almost there. Promise you just another week and we'll be fine. But if you're new to the channel, friends, right now I'm going to hit you up. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. Easy, free to do. All you got to do is hit that button if you've got a YouTube account. What do we know? The Oilers, another suffering goaltending performance from Stuart Skinner where you just get one save and you win the hockey game, right? One more save and you win the hockey game. And obviously you don't blow third period leads, whatever, X, Y, and Z. But for the Oilers, it really comes down to we're struggling to get that one save from Stuart Skinner we desperately need to be able to do things with. So when we look at this here, friends, there's a list of factors we can look at, right? Stuart Skinner, I think the easiest thing everyone's going to say, oh, Skinner sucks. Sure, okay, that's fair, right? Not a good start for him. Oh, Picard's so much better. He's still sub 900 save percentage. I know he's at a 2.5 goals against average, but if you've got both goalies in the sub 900s, there's something wrong necessarily that isn't just the two guys you've got in your tandem. That goes back to Campbell and Skinner last year. That goes back to Mike Smith, Koskinen, and Skinner the year before. That goes back and back and back and back and back and back we go. And I will tell you the most disappointing thing here for Edmonton Oilers fans is the simple fact that we continue to go through the stages of not good enough goaltending. We get a good guy, he's bad as soon as he gets here, and then we want to turf him and we want to run him out of town, right? And I gotta ask, at what point over the past 10 years did we quit blaming the goaltenders here in Edmonton for being bad, right? It's not like the Oilers are necessarily going out and trying to find the league's worst goaltender and bring him into Edmonton. That is not the mission. That has never been the mission. And I will tell you, like Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen, and all those guys, nobody would have, when they were signed, nobody would have considered them the league's worst goaltenders. So when we look at this here, friends, I think it's a pretty simple conversation to have. First and foremost, we got to move on. I'm sorry. Dustin Schwartz can be the best guy the organization has ever had in terms of personable, make you laugh, shake your hand when he sees you in the morning, say good morning every morning. It don't matter. If he's a good guy, that's nice and all, but we got to get some results here. And as of this month here in November 2024, it is 10 years Dustin Schwartz has been with the Oilers since being hired as the goaltending coach out of Nate, conveniently when I was there. And you know what? It just has resulted in an absolute mess. I'm sorry. Cam Talbot was a fantastic goalie. And by the time he was done in Edmonton, everyone made the excuse, oh, he's a dad now. He can't goaltend. Sorry. He's been goaltending quite well for the past few years in terms of stretches. And again, we thought he was the world's worst goalie when we left him to Philadelphia. So that's that one. And obviously we had Mike Smith, who's been our best goalie in 10 years. And everybody wanted to run Mike Smith out of town because he was such a terrible goalie. You had Mikko Koskinen, who was not nearly as bad as he looked sometimes, but still wanted to run him out of town. You got Stuart Skinner, you got Calvin Picard, you had Jack Campbell, which you absolutely chewed up. And unfortunately, the one thing that doesn't change with all these goalies is the guy coaching them. So this is where I'm a little frustrated maybe as an Oilers fan, saying, how many goalies do I have to run out of town before the organization realizes, hey, maybe we change the goalie coach here? And I mean, like I said, Dustin Schwartz can be the nicest man you've ever met. He's the most classiest, whatever term you want to use to describe him, sure. But at some point, you got to get results. And the Oilers over the past 10 years have not had anything close to results in net in Dustin Schwartz's tenure as Edmonton Oilers goalie coach. So that leads us to here, where that doesn't necessarily excuse, right? These are grown men we're talking about. These are professional athletes we're talking about. And even if your goalie coach is an absolute moron in terms of what he's telling you, not saying that's what Schwartz is, but if you've got a goalie coach that is, you should still be capable of saving a couple extra pucks. And you look at these guys here at the bottom of the list. Stuart Skinner is the lowest goals saved above expected in the NHL as of November 17th. You got Devin Levi, Connor Ingram, Alex Nedeljkovic, Daniil Tarasov, Scott Wedgwood, Sergei Bobrovsky, Alexander Georgiev, Ivan Fedotov and Ville Husso in this range. Well, what we know about that is there's a whole bunch of teams there that aren't doing very good. We can be honest about that. And a whole bunch of teams that would love a lot better out of their goaltenders, just like us with Stuart Skinner. So get with it, right? And I think that's where it's an honest, fair conversation to be had about the Oilers do desperately deserve and need better out of their goaltending. And that's both Skinner and Picard. That is not just Stuart Skinner, because again, Picard might have a 250 goals against average, but if the save percentage is in the sub 900s, that still ain't good enough. I know, oh my goodness, it's so much better than Stu. Guys, we gotta raise the bar here. We gotta ask for once our goaltenders are above 915. That would be the kind of way you win a Stanley Cup. And well, guess what? Goalies aren't anywhere close to being in that range. So at some point, we got to figure this out here. And again, I think it comes back to the simple conversation of enough is enough with Dustin Schwartz. We've seen the program. We've read the book. We've read the memoir. We've seen the play. We've gone down to Broadway to see the show there. And it ain't good enough, okay? It just simply is not. And I think, again, why would you want to run a young, drafted, developed goaltender out of the system that is the Oilers instead of, hey, maybe we change the guy that's potentially ruining him, right? I love that everybody jumps on the player instead of the coach in this instance. But as soon as you have a coach that isn't working after a year and a half, oh my God, it's the coach, run him out of town. So, like, I just don't get kind of where our brains are at. Us Oilers fans, I guess to say, are a little bit more even complicated than Toronto Maple Leafs fans in the fact that any Maple Leafs fan under the age of 60 has no memory of their team winning a Stanley Cup in front of their own eyes, right? Us Oilers fans, anyone under 60, anyone 60 and under, then a range between 60 and what? About 60, and let's say, where would that put us? Oh my goodness, math failed me now. I got 60 and 45, so that 15-year range. You've seen the team win 5 Stanley Cups, right? The expectation for what you need to win a Stanley Cup in Edmonton is so much greater than what it is across the NHL. Simply, a lot of other NHL teams, United as an Oilers fan, feel they got lucky some seasons. Whereas the Oilers, hey, we demand that you've got the best player in the league, you got the second best player, you got all-time Hall of Famers on the team, and you got a Hall of Fame goaltender, and you got a defense that's full of Hall of Famers, and you got guys that become doctors and all that situation. Well, simply put, that might not be the case with any team in the NHL, but that is an Edmonton Oilers fan expectation for the most part when it comes to what it's going to take to win a Stanley Cup. And I'm going to tell you, these kind of numbers from Stuart Skinner here on this chart, minus 7.7 goals saved above expected. 0 is you're doing okay, not you're doing great. 0 is okay. And you look at the goalie on that other list there, top of the list, not Lucas Dostal, but Anthony Stolarz. We once upon a time had that guy, and he had an 880 save percentage or something like that, and 2 losses as an Edmonton Oilers goaltender. Go figure. Who was the goalie coach at the time? Anybody? Any guesses? Any guesses? Who was the goalie coach in 2018-19? This guy. So again, not to sit here and bash Dustin Schwartz, but it is simply from an Edmonton Oilers fan perspective, rather than go out and run a young goalie out of town because he's underperforming and think that this veteran journeyman guy in Cal Picard is so much better. I'm going to tell you, just make the simple change. Make the easy change. I am sick of bad goaltending in Edmonton, and it is not a Stuart Skinner problem. Goaltending has not been bad for the past 10 years because of Skinner. I can tell you that much. And I don't know exactly what the reason is, but there's a guy that's been here exactly those 10 years, and that might be part of it, because what else could it be at this point if you just have a mountain of failure and your best guy is old man Mike Smith in that time, who we all still wanted to run out of town because he'd gaff the puck on his stick once in a while. So, friends, thanks for being aboard here today. And, well, like I said off the top, if you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. But for right now, I'm up on out of here.